All right, so this is going to be a brief overview of our floor section. And the first thing we're going to do is we have to determine what is the shape of our building or our floor section. Is it a simple square, rectangle, or is it a more complex shape? So are we building a square house or structure, or are we building a more complex shape? If your building is not a simple square or rectangle, click this button right here. You'll see everything disappears and it'll tell you to scroll right. This is because this section is the section that we're going to use to do an estimate and take off for a more complex shape. So for information on that process, click this question mark right here and it will guide you on that process. So we're going to just continue doing an estimate and take off, showing you how this works just for a simple square like this right here. So the first thing we need to know is that yellow section is going to be our input section, blue section will be our readouts. You'll never input any information into this blue section. The only thing you'll do in this blue section is select what you want to do a takeoff and estimation for. That's it. The rest are just going to be readout, giving you the information as it receives it, as you put it into this yellow section. So in this yellow section, there are only two colors that we need to input information into. The light blue and white. Light blue is going to be a drop-down menu, and white will be boxes you have to enter in manual information. So let's just go get started. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select how we're going to is our floor framing layout. Now, also, if you have any questions on specific section, these question marks will link to a video that will discuss the sections in a little more depth. So the first thing we're going to do is our floor framing layout, and we have to determine how we're going to frame this up, right? So these are our different layouts we have to choose from. You know, one joist spanning the entire width, one joist spanning the entire width with a midspan support, two joists spanning the entire width with a midspan support, that's either a wall or girder, or three joists that are spanning the entire width with two midspan supports. So for this example, not this one, we're going to do a simple one. For this example, we can see we have two joists that are spanning the entire width, resting on a girder that is our midspan support. And that girder or beam is supported by posts. So that's going to be, as we can see, that's going to be layout 3. So we're going to choose for our floor framing layout, layout 3. Our joist dimension will be 2x12s. The house length, let's say it's 30 feet long, 20 feet wide. Now, house length will always be perpendicular to the joist, so it'll tell you how many joists you need, and the house width will give you the length of the joists and will be parallel to the joist. If your house is more than 2 floors, you can, or 2 or 3 floors, you can select that here. If it's not 16 on center, you can select that from these boxes right here. Default will be 16 on center. If you have any extra joists that you want to add on here, let's say there's a load-bearing wall that's running parallel to your joist and you want to double up the joists, you can just add a joist right there, and you can see it'll add to that number right there. So you can see our readouts are already kind of giving us information on the material that we're going to need for our floor. If we want mud sills, just select mud sills. Select the material you want to make the mud sills out. If you want to double your mud sills, you can click that. As you can see, once again, it's going to update this readout right up here. So midspan support is if we choose layout 2, 3, or 4, and you want to select the material for that midspan support is either going to be a wall or girder. So for our example, we can see that this is going to be a girder or beam. Girder dimension is going to be what are we making this girder out of, right? So let's do 2x10 LVLs. And the number of members in a girder means is going to be, for example, how many of these LVLs are we going to be fastening together, right? So for example, if we look here, we can see we have 1, 2, 3 members in the girder, right? So the number of members in a girder will be basically how many of the 2x material or whatever you select here are you going to be fastening together. So that'll be 3. Our girder post dimension will be the posts that are holding up our girder, so our girder posts. Well, what are we going to use? What material are we going to use for that? So let's use 6x6 PT, which is pressure treated, and the girder post height is going to be what is the height of this post, right? So since this is a crawl space, this is going to be about 3 feet. So let's say 3 feet, right? And if you have more questions on this section, click one of these question marks and it'll go a little more in depth. Let's say, explain if you want to use lolly columns or something like that. Girder number of posts in the field is going to be, this might be a little tricky. Once again, question mark if it goes in depth a little more. The question is how many posts are going to be holding up this girder, right? So for example, let's take this building plan for example. If we have a girder going this entire length of the house, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 posts in the field. So if we put 4 posts in the field, it'll tell us our length between posts. Now let's say you don't have architectural plans and you're just trying to figure out how many posts you need. You can kind of just put in different numbers and it will, until you get a span between the posts that you're comfortable with, you can just kind of choose. It'll tell you kind of how many posts you want. Now the number of posts at the ends means basically, are we going to have any posts at the ends of the girder? So if your post is resting in a masonry pocket, the answer will be 0. But let's say there is no masonry pocket and you need to put a post at the end, right? Then just put how many posts are going to be at the end. And the reason we separate these is because this number is going to be used to calculate your length between posts. Whereas you won't get accurate numbers if you put 6 in right here, even though we have 6 posts total. So that's it for basically the information for all our framing lumber, right? So if we go to our framing lumber, we see we can have a readout of all the framing lumber we need. Now if we go to our final summary tab, this is going to put all of our material in one spot that's easily changeable and easily readable, right? And this is the spot where we can change any of the material or the amount that we want, right? So this won't give you any surplus. This is the section you're going to use to change that. So this is saying you only need 2 by 12 by 12s for this floor. But let's say you want to use 2 by 12 by 16 because you want to have like extra laps. Just scroll down till you find the material you want, right? And if you want to add a couple extra, you don't want 49, but you want to have like 5 extra, just put 54, and you can see it's going to update that material there for you in real time.